And that is why we are here. And we say, these politics don't work for the African child. Some countries have been free for 60-something years. South Africa is approaching 30 years. But the politics don't work for the African child. Welcome to Break the Ice with Natimieni, where we share our 2 cents and hope it makes sense to you. Welcome. Well, today we're going to talk about, like I said, we talk about everything. Today we're going on politics, and we're making sure that, because we want to get into history. So in order for us to get into history, we need to analyze what is happening to us right now. And on this political segment, if I may call it a segment, I'm going to be very frank, very controversial, because we have spent so much time as a people becoming political correct to systems that we do not even understand the foundations of. I'm going to speak from an African experience. I'm going to speak from a South African experience. I'm going to speak comparing it to the rest of the continent, because we live under an illusion of a free continent. Yet the people of the continent continue to be displaced in many ways, whether by having to migrate and move to other places because the political systems in their countries are not able to deliver what they are supposed to deliver, the continuous wars on the continent, and everything else that is continues to go on. And that is what we're going to tackle today. We're not going to be kind to anybody, because this system has not been kind to the least of us. And that is where we come from, I'm not going to talk from a privileged perspective. Yes, a lot of times as Black people, we forget that having a camera, internet, and all of those things, it means you are privileged. Having a phone and all of those things, with what data to sit on Twitter and all of those things. That is a privilege, Imagine you spend however amount of money that you spend on data. In the same country where you live, there is somebody who can't spend that much money on groceries. We're not going to be blaming, you understand, because we are part and parcel of this system. We've agreed, whether willingly or unwillingly, to become part and parcel of this system. So we're going to delve deeper and go and ask the questions to say, if this system that we live under, whether you call it democracy, call it independence, call it whatever you want to call it, works, why is it that we live in a world where, according to the United Nations, 25,000 people die of poverty every day? I don't see anybody raising alarms about that. I'm talking about 25,000 people, including children, that die on a daily basis. This is according to the United Nations. Please go and check out the stats and come on the comments and correct me if my stats are wrong. You understand? You see, But those are the realities, those are the numbers of the amount of deaths that happen because of hunger. Not because of anything else, just because of hunger. That's the world we're living in. On a daily basis, there's 25,000 people that are losing their lives. And guess what? They happen in what is called the developing world, mostly. Yes, even in the first world, they're very magnificent. They play very big PR, those people. They hide hunger. They hide poverty. They're very good. That's why everybody knows about Hollywood, but they don't know about the people living in tents in the same LA. Same Los Angeles, that's just down the road. Everybody knows the Bel Airs and the Hollywoods. When you ask them about California, they will tell you about the beach and everything else, the nice life. They won't tell you about the realities of people living in tents. Now imagine when it's snowing and you are living in a tent. But that's just another example. That's their problems on their side. We've got our own to tackle here and now. And that is why we are here. And we say, these politics don't work for the African child. Some countries have been free for 60-something years. South Africa is approaching 30 years. But the politics don't work for the African child. Yet people come out here all the time and they form political parties in the system that they don't understand because it was never set up for them. And they wear suits and drive big cars and call themselves civil servants. Get paid millions of rands while the people are dying of hunger. The servant that gets paid more than the master, the politician. We the people are supposed to be the masters, but the people are going to bed hungry. The politicians, they are drinking champagne and 21-year-old whiskeys. And they are living nice. And they drive in convoys of 7 vehicles. BMWs and Mercedes-Benz, top of the range. To serve people who can't buy bread. What an irony. This is the world that we've built. This is the world that we are giving to our kids. And we sit around everywhere, wherever we are, we sit around and we talk and we enjoy talking about this system, and we fight because me, I'm ANC, me, I'm EFF, me, I'm ZANU-PF, me, I'm DPP, me, I'm whatever PPs, in a system that was never designed with you in mind. You were handed over parliaments and legislations that were not designed with you in mind. And that is the system that is expected to deliver to the people. Yes, I sound angry because I am. You see, when it comes to certain things, when you talk about poverty, to me, that makes me angry. Because I understand that the world that I live in has more than enough. I understand that there's now somebody who's decided to put a fence on the resources that belong to the people. I also understand that there's somebody who is satisfied receiving the crumbs from the guy who put the fence. You know, nobody ever asked all these politicians to say, oh, show me audited numbers of your members and tell me how much is your membership fee. Most of them will tell you ridiculous money is like 10 rand a year, 20 rand a year. You understand? You see, let's say, for an example, these guys really charge the 10 rand a year for their membership. Let's all give them 1 million members. So it means they make 10 million a year. Now, how many offices, how much do these guys pay for their head offices? All of them. Rental and rates and stuff per year. Then you're going to say, yeah, but that's a stupid one. Yeah, there's donors. So when you just take your money and you go and give it there, what are you expecting? So the donors are what? Are the guys that we should be going after. Because those are the guys that cause most of the problems. Because they are investing, as other people say, they are investing. Investing in what? In your poverty. In my poverty. That is what they are investing in. You know? It is unfair that the African child is still backwards, yet there's a claim of freedom. We have political leaders here in Africa that don't have even, I don't know, the shame to go and buy big cars and navigate potholes and fail to do small things. You know, like delivering services to the people. The same Africa where my forefathers lived, and you could walk and find a fruit tree. You could go and hunt and come back with food. And because of the weather here in Africa, and we didn't have fridges, guess what? Sharing was a necessity. Not because you shared, because you loved, you know, you killed a whole pack and you want to share with the community. You shared out of necessity. People will say, how can you say you are sharing out of necessity? No, it's our spirit of Ubuntu. No, we shared out of necessity. Because why? We used common sense. You know? Common sense says this meat is gonna get rotten if you try to store it. And guess what? Once it starts smelling, the hyenas are coming for you and the other animals that can smell dead meat. So share it so that it can be eaten and it gets finished and everybody feasts. So what does that mean? That means that the hungry guy gets what? To eat. Why does the hungry guy get to eat? Because the food is there in abundance. But no, now wow, there's Pick and Pay most. And the suppliers of Pick and Pay. And Checkers. And Boxer. And whatever else, even the tuck shop in the corner. Yet we know that the people don't have the means to be able to go to those shops and acquire those goods. You see? So we've adopted a system that comes from a point of lack, a point of finite resources. That's why they've hunted the dodo to extinction in Mozambique, in Mauritius. Excuse me. Hunted the bird to extinction. For what? So that you can go and show people there, I have a dodo, and make it a trophy. I have a dodo. A bird that was just flying there for anybody to see. You want to own it, take it, put it in your house. You see? Those are the founders of the system that governs us. Those are the founders of the system that govern us. So sit on your social medias, blame the ANC, blame the ZANU-PFs, blame the DPPs, blame whoever political party that exists in Africa. The cards are already stacked against them. That's why they sell you out willy-nilly, because they know they don't even understand this thing themselves. And you call them legislatures. They must go and make legislation. Some of them you know very well. Now, they can't read these things. We had an argument here in South Africa when this white boy, Oscar Pistorius, killed his girlfriend brutally. And the judge started talking about dual eventualis. The whole country went into a frenzy. The whole judiciary went into a frenzy. Because why? What the hell is that? It's some Latin thing. What applies in the Roman Dutch law that judges you. But you are neither Roman nor Dutch. That includes the Afrikaners here in South Africa. You know? Because you know Europe said, nah, we don't know you. So I'm not including you are neither Roman nor Dutch. We all fall in the same boat. We are governed by a system. Maybe Nina understand somehow, I don't know. But since time immemorial, when this system started to exist, things have not been nice for the black child or the so-called brown child. And sometimes we need to go further and look and ask the people that are educated, you know, those professors, you know, and the PhDs, the doctors, you know, those people are serious people. They write theses, you know, they study things very seriously. So maybe we need to ask them, you know, to help us in understanding not what's wrong with the system, but what's wrong with its foundation. You know, this method, this mentality of lack, you know, where does it come from? You know, yes, I'm going to be frank. We all know that the current system is a European system. What happens in Europe in most countries 6 months of the year or 3 months of the year? It freezes. So if you don't have food in your house, you starve to death. there's very little things on the outside. So you see now, I'm talking about two places where if you try to keep food, it rots. On the other side, you have to keep food or you starve to death. You see, here you might die by mold, being mauled by the animals. You understand? Because you kept the food. So here's these two people that are developing in these places. The same applies if you go to the South Americas, the Americas as it's known. You understand? It's a land of plenty. You know, traditionally. You see, the conquistadors, as they like to call themselves, when they got there, you understand, they found the things plenty. You understand? But we call these people primitive. And we call ourselves civilized and industrialized and all the ized. And we sit in parliaments and discuss and have commissions of inquiries. Yet the people are going to bed hungry. Now, here's a scenario that I'm going to paint for you right now. President, he's employed. He gets a salary. He's got a pension. Even one better, he's closer to the guys that are making the deals because they need his stamp of approval somehow. So he's there making money. The same applies to the rest of the gang. You see? But what's the game? What is the game that they are playing? The game that makes them money. The game is telling you that they're going to solve your problems. That's why now we can sit and not plant. We have yards. We pave them. You see, those small yards that we have in the location, we're paving them. We put paving and green grass. We don't plant food because food is at Pick and Pay, but we don't have money. Ne? And then we're going to sit and say, yeah, these politicians, they must deliver. The government must deliver. The government must deliver. Deliver how? You know how many people would lose their jobs at the Department of Housing should the housing backlog and all the housing crisis in South Africa be solved? Because you'd need to downsize and keep a maintenance staff. But now, guess what? I'm not about to put my job at risk of being retrenched so that I can deliver the services that I'm employed to deliver to you. But I can call my brother and tell him to come and supply stationery. I think it was back in 2004 or something, or back then in those days. Parliament, they were buying a glass of what? This glass. Glass. 70 rand each. I think that time you could buy a glass 99 cents. They were paying 70 rand. And you sit and say, it's taxpayers' money. You see, that's all we can say. Taxpayers' money. We can't do anything. They say, no, vote for an alternative. Which alternative? The system is stacked against you because it was never designed to benefit you. That is why when your presidents come out and your political analysts come out and everybody talks about foreign direct investment. What is foreign direct investment? The colonizer coming with the money that he stole to come and invest so that he can take the money that is here and take it home. Call a spade a spade. Glencore has been mining Africa. They are mining in the Congo right now. Let the CEO come out of here. I know they are a stock exchange company. Let them come out of here and tell me on this channel, on the comments below, and say, this is the village that we've built in the Congo from the minerals that we've extracted in the Congo. They're a foreign direct investor. They pop champagne when they come. They take your taxpayers' money and host them and make parties that you would never be able to attend in your life. That's the world that you are living in. You see? So no, I'm not kind to any politician, man. Come on, I'm old. You see, those guys don't have solutions because they don't know what Act what of 1968 says, or Act what of 1953 says, or Act what of what. But you expect them to write new acts. Try and read an act. Take one of the law, any law of any country in the continent, and read through the first 15 paragraphs. And see if you get to paragraph number 15 and write down how many words you didn't understand. You yourself. If you have a degree, you have a PhD, you have a master's and everything, even better. You went to school and you graduated. Take that law and read it. And then after you've read it, how many words you didn't understand? You see, that is what we're talking about, you see. So, yes, we're coming for you politicians because you never liked we. So, yes, we are coming because our forefathers are angry at you. This is their land at the end of the day. And like anything, it has its rules and its own regulations of how you handle it. And the forefathers of humanity knew how to live in harmony with the planet that they lived in. Nina, look at yourselves. 25,000, remember that figure. And check it out and see if that figure is not there. If it's not there, reverse. And tell me in the comments and say you are lying. And give me a number of how many people are dying per day of poverty. And tell me, after you give me that number, tell me if that's right. I've sharing a little bit of my own personal experience on this camera, I know what it is like to live on the streets and sleep on the pavement, not because I was a junkie or anything like that, because of situations, So I understand the life of the most poorest of the people. The guy who doesn't care that it's about to rain. Because what point is it going to make? Because you don't have a house to run to. And in a world where I am born and as a child of the universe, I should have never been able to even go through that. Because that's not a human experience. And that's not an experience that we should be wishing on anybody or judging people because you see them, they are dirty, they are walking around in the street. That is keeping things the way that they are. 400 people there in Cape Town, sitting, making decisions for 50 million people. Making decisions about places they've never been.